This world is ran by the Pharisees of old. It's ran by the hypocrites. And you can see this in a lot of ways. One way, look at the world entertainment sports system, all of these professional sports. First off, these professional sports leagues like the NFL, they're involved in human trafficking and all sorts of wickedness. And all of the owners of the teams are billionaires, and they're involved in secret societies doing all sorts of rituals. And there's a lot of prophecy about them in the book of Psalms, the workers of iniquity that flourish, but they'll be destroyed in the end. And this is because they're hypocrites. That's what they are. All these people are hypocrites. These professional sports players, they want to wear the cross necklaces. They want to have the glory to God speeches in the pre and post game interviews. They want to have Bible verses in their social media bios. They want to talk about God this, God that. But they're all involved in a lie, and they know it because all of the games that they play are already predetermined. It's a lie. And then they play it out in front of the audience, both in person and on camera, like it's real. They never tell you that it's all a lie and that they're just performing actors. That's what they are. They're playing a part in a performance. They never tell the fans that, though. But they themselves know, because they do have to follow a script throughout the game. If they have to drop a pass, they have to do that. If they have to miss a tackle, they have to do that. If they have to make an error on the baseball field, they have to make an error. They have to do it. The NBA and the college basketball games, each game, each sport, they have certain technology where they can control the outcome of the game. Not to mention, they'll also wear earbuds and they will follow a script. But with the NBA and these college basketball games, they have technology in the back of the rim that attracts the ball, and they can make it go in and out. I learned this about maybe 3 years ago, and it absolutely blew my mind. There's a lot of well, not a lot, but there's enough exposure online by certain accounts where you can watch these balls have unnatural bounces on the rim. I'll give you an example for any of you that know. Kawhi Leonard, when he played for the Raptors versus 76ers in the Eastern Conference Finals several years ago, he made a three-pointer falling away backwards, and it hit the rim about 4 or 5 times, and it was the most unnatural bounce you'll ever see. The point is there's high-level technology that these leagues are using to control and fix the outcomes of games. And these sports players know, because they're involved. And when they point up to the sky after a touchdown or a home run, they're not thanking the real creator. Because how can they be when they're in a lie? They're living a lie. They're playing a lie. They're telling you a lie. And they're making money off of it. And they're in the limelight, and it's always about them. Even when they point up, it's still about them. And they're not pointing up to the right God. They're pointing up to the other God, to the God that's a hypocrite. They're thanking the system itself, this world entertainment system. They thank the system when they point up. The matrix system of illusion. That's who they're thanking. And there's a decent amount of these people that claim to be Christian, and they want to talk about God all the time. And it's disgusting. And they wear the cross necklaces too. I've never seen a real follower of the Messiah wear a cross necklace. I'm just gonna say that. I never have. And real followers of the Messiah receive conviction to not wear cross necklaces, because it's an idol. He doesn't want to see you wear a cross necklace. What is that going to do for him or you or anyone else? It doesn't do anything. People wear cross necklaces for fashion nowadays anyway. He doesn't want to see a cross necklace. And then these sports stars' wives, and even in their social media bios, they have all these scriptures, these Bible verses, like they follow the Messiah or something. Usually it's Paul's letters. They're quoting Paul's letters out of context. They have no idea what Paul's talking about at all. Absolutely no idea. Quote Paul out of context, and then their whole entire social media page is worldly and satanic and loving self. They don't care because they're living the life, because they're married to a superstar. And then the people that follow them of the world, who are also Christians and just worldly people, they end up being a hypocrite. They end up being a hypocrite and living a lie, because those people are hypocrites and living a lie. So you're following a hypocrite, and they follow the God of the hypocrites. So where's that going to leave you? It's going to leave you in the illusion. And the way the world views it all, these sports stars, with their influence and their platform, they're looked at as the renowned men of the world with the status and the money, and of course they're very athletic. Some of them are very tall, very built, right? They have connections. And then the women with them, but a lot of the women with them, they're silly modern women. They're not intellectual. They're not smart. They don't love the real Father. They're not seekers of truth. They don't want to know themselves deeply. They're just living the lie, living the dream, which leads to the pit, because they're living a lie. It's not that money leads to the pit when you have it. It depends about your heart condition. But these people are living a lie. And I would think that a lot of these women that are married to these sports stars, I would think they don't even know what they're involved in. They're just living the life. Some of them probably do, but I would say the majority of them don't even know what they're involved in. They're just deceived, hypocritical, worldly Christians living the life. Now the husbands, those that are playing in the leagues, they know that they're following a script, and that's part of the deal to be in that spotlight, to be in that position, is you have to follow a script, and you can't tell about it. That's the deception. Now, do some of them think they can still be Christians and do that? Maybe so. Well, they're deceived. Some of them, they're just playing the role. They have to. Like Jameis Winston with his pre-game speeches about giving glory to the Lord. He's not giving glory to the real Lord. These people are not giving glory to the real Lord. Tim Tebow, people will say, wow, he does so much good. That's the deception. That's the front they put on. These elites, they put on the front of doing good in front of your face. But they're not doing good. They're liars. They don't tell the truth. Tim Tebow is a false minister of light. Okay? He's playing a role. Like, Tim Tebow knows he's playing a role. He works for the hypocrite. He's paid to deceive you. He's paid to lie to you. That's his role. So the world follows after these people to their destruction. And it's not just the sports stars. It's all the religious political leaders as well. Like all of these leaders in politics, they want to say they're Christian, and they talk about God and freedom and faith and all this. It's a lie. Even the phrase faith, family, freedom is a lie. I can prove it with the scriptures. Faith, they want to say that faith, you just believe and you have faith and now you're saved. That's not true. Faith also means faithfulness. You have faith mentally, internally, and it translates to action. Faith is faithfulness. That's what the word means when you look it up. And the Bible clearly tells you faith is about action. Loving God is action. You keep his commandments, that's how you love God. 1 John 5 verse 3. 1 John 2 verse 3 verse 4. 1 John 3 verse 24. Proverbs 8:17, it says that God loves those who love him. Well, how do you love God then? That's what you should ask. Well, you love God by keeping his commandments. So faith is, yes, it's not just a mental assent. Like, yes, you can have mental faith, but if that doesn't translate to action, then you don't have faith. And what they're teaching you with this faith, family, freedom movement is faith is just belief. It's a lie. And they want to say the law is done away with and all these other things through the misinterpretation of Paul's letters. And that's all a lie. That's where they're getting this doctrine from. It comes from a couple scriptures in the Gospels, and then the misinterpretation of Paul's letters. That's where it comes from. That's all they have, and that's what they use to build a whole salvation doctrine. And then they take this doctrine and they weave it and fasten it with all these different movements and ideologies and factions of society, like this faith, family, freedom movement and the conservative political religious media, this Americanized Christian culture. And then so that's a lie. The whole faith, what they're teaching about faith is a lie. They teach the wrong God. They teach the hypocritical God that loves America. God doesn't love America. The whole idea of nations is not even biblical. That was not set up by the Father. Like people want to think that America was created by the Father, but the Father doesn't create countries like that. And all the countries work together anyway. They all bow to Rome. That's Lucifer. So the reality that they're giving you, it's all based on deception and not in truth. That's why they teach you it in the school systems, in the churches, in society. They teach you it in the sports, in the entertainment, in the books you read, everything. It all goes back to the matrix source, which is a lie, which is Satan. There's a lot of truth in that movie if you haven't watched it. It's basically showing your reality. And Smith, the enemy, Agent Smith, that's Satan. He can masquerade and transform, and all the demons that work for him, when you sin, they can enter into you. And he's trying to destroy Neo, which is the chosen one, which basically represents true seekers of God that are trying to get out of the matrix. And as you read in the scripture, Revelation 12:17, the dragon was wroth, angry with the woman, who's the bride of Christ, was enraged with the woman who keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of the faith of the Messiah. So you need both commandments and faith, and that's only who Satan is after. Why is that? Because he already has everyone else. He's not after Christianity. He's not after it. He uses Christianity to entrap individuals and have them come into Christianity, and now he's got you. He doesn't need to deceive you. He has you. Islam, Judaism, Buddhism, Hinduism, all of these religions, they come from him. He doesn't have to deceive people that are in these religions, because that is the God of those religions. That's Satan. 2 Corinthians 4:4. He controls those religions. The Father did not create those religions. It doesn't even make any sense why there's so many church buildings everywhere on every single street corner, and yet there's still so much chaos, confusion, and sin. And the scriptures say that the Father doesn't dwell there anyway. Acts 7:48 tells you that the Spirit of the Most High doesn't dwell in temples made by man's hands. Acts 17:24 tells you the same thing. Revelation 18:4 says to leave these church buildings and their ways. And it says in the Matrix that if you die in the Matrix, you die in real life. And that's exactly the truth in this reality, because if you're plugged in to the illusion, to the lie, then you're gonna die, because you didn't walk and practice the truth. You weren't connected to the real creator. You were connected to the hypocrite, to the false one, to the false God. It's amazing people have watched that movie, but they don't connect the dots about what's going on. People even read the Bible and watch that movie, and they still can't connect the dots about what's going on. It's unbelievable. Those are those with blinders on. Like Isaiah 44:18 says, the Father has blinded their eyes and closed their ears. That's what Christ was quoting to the Pharisees, to the religious leaders, Matthew 13:15. That's what he quoted to them. And that's who controls the world today. The world is in control by the Pharisees, by the hypocrites. They run your school systems and your churches and the politics and everything. Even these sports stars are hypocrites. These sports stars' wives are hypocrites too. These wives that post all the worldly nonsense on their social media, and they have the scripture in their bio, and then their husband is living a lie, playing scripted rigged sports for sports leagues that are involved in all sorts of wickedness, like human trafficking, just to name one. Not to mention it's all a lie. They bow to Rome. They all bow to the COVID agenda. How can you watch the sports when they do that? How can you be a fan? It's all a fantasy. And then they created fantasy sports to continue the fantasy, to double down on the fantasy. They have the masses playing fantasy sports with sports that are already a fantasy. That's like double, triple deception matrix pod, straight to the lake. If you read the scriptures, you're not going to be playing fantasy football. You're just not. And then when you gain the understanding and discernment, because the Spirit gives you that enlightenment, and you see what these sports leagues are, you see what this world is, you're not going to have anything to do with it. I used to be the biggest into fantasy sports. So much time and energy and effort. I knew all about it. And the gambling. But it's all a lie. It's worldliness. It's immature. It's not even, and even if you look at it in another light, like, it's not even attractive to women if you play fantasy sports. Not real quality women. Like, they think that's silly and immature. Even in that sense, it's wrong. And then there's even women that play fantasy sports. That's just sad, because they're not, like, they're externalizing all this energy into a lie, which then is externalized into another lie, because you're externalizing your energy and your mind into these fantasy leagues and the gambling, but all of that stems from a lie as well. It wouldn't even exist without the lie. So I feel bad for these people, especially the women that get involved with this, because these people, they don't know who they are. They don't know who they are. If they were seeking to know who they were deep inside, they wouldn't be playing fantasy sports. You would come to an understanding. You would come to some maturity. But this is how strong the delusion is that you have grown men who are supposed to be strong individuals, being righteous, being godly, being wise, leading others, being a light, being an example to other people around them, and instead they're playing fantasy sports. So I just wanted to bring up some points with that. I guess that's all I have now. This is almost 20 minutes. It's not very long, but long enough. Because I saw some of these sports star social media pages, and I already knew it was like this, but it's really like a disease. You can just sense it, the way these people act. And none of these people ever tell the truth about anything, because they can't. They're not allowed to, even if they knew. So how can you trust them? They're hypocrites, and you're trusting a hypocrite. That's not gonna work. Your pastor is a hypocrite. Your priest is a hypocrite. Your Hebrew Israelite camp leader teaching race-based salvation is a hypocrite. And if you follow them, guess what that makes you? That makes you a hypocrite, because you're being taught by the hypocrites. The Catholic Church teaches that salvation comes through them, but the people that lead the Catholic Church from the top down are all hypocrites. They're all hypocrites. So your salvation is going to come from hypocrisy? There is no salvation with hypocrisy. We cannot be hypocrites. We cannot be telling others to stop doing this and that when we're doing the same thing. That makes us a hypocrite. You can't be looking down at the world because of their iniquity when you're in iniquity. So it's a very narrow path, and these world influencers have nothing to do with it. That's the wide path. It is absolutely the wide path to destruction, following the world's ideologies and the people that promote them. Oh, I never finished the faith, family, freedom concept. So the reason why the reason there's a lie when they talk about the family aspect is because a lot of people's families, they're not actually whole and loving. A lot of people's families, they're broken. Even the ones that have solid families, it's still, if it's not based on the love of the Father, then it's not really solid. It's just not. Because it's not, your family's not built on the rock. Plus, Christ spoke about the fact that he's coming to bring a sword, which is division. He came to bring division. How much do you love Christ? How much do you stand for his truth? How much do you want to follow him? So if you really do follow Christ, you're most likely going to have division in your family, because it's prophesied and the path is narrow, and there's only so many people that are called, let alone chosen. So to even have one person in a whole family to be called is a rarity. So they don't ever really talk about that, because a lot of the people that are involved in these movements, it's just one big happy family of false Christianity. And then the freedom aspect, well, you don't really, the idea of freedom that they're pushing in America is a lie. It's still a debt system based on usury, which is not godly according to the Bible. It's actually ungodly. It's in the law there to not charge usury. And you know what? These Jewish people at the top, these fake Jewish people over in Israel, they charge usury. And they claim to serve that God. So they're hypocrites. The God of Judaism is not the real God. They don't even have the Son. You don't have the Son, then you don't have the Father. If you hate the Son, you hate the Father. That's what it says in the scripture. And freedom, there's also, like, your world leaders are not voted, or you're not your world leaders, your national leaders, your state governors even, are not voted in by you. They're selected because they're initiated into societal orders. So what they're telling you in the school, it's all a lie. What they're telling you in the churches about how it works is all a lie. If you have a pastor or a spiritual leader telling you that you should vote, or like, yeah, let's go vote for these politicians, we need to vote for God this time, they lack understanding. They have blinders on. They don't see the world for what it is. So the freedom that they're showing you is not really real freedom, because you don't vote for politicians. You're given your leaders. That's what it says in Luke chapter 4, verses 5 through 7. Read it. Read Job chapter 9, verse 24. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. Can you tell yet? It's getting out of hand, isn't it? So why do you want to have anything to do with these leaders? They're all liars. They're liars. The Christian leaders in government, they're liars. They don't expose the government. They just expose the left, the other side. They just expose the other sides and the quote-unquote globalists. And then you have people like Candace Owens and Stu Peters, who are also liars. There's so many alternative controlled opposition agents. The alternative news is all controlled, because what happens is you learn the mainstream media is controlled and ran by the government, and then you look to the alternative news sources. Newsflash, it's also all controlled by the same people. 99% of the alternative media, I would say, is controlled. It's still disinformation. It's chaos and confusion. These accounts on YouTube and social media and BitChute and the podcasts and the radio shows, it's controlled opposition. They control it all. Like Candace Owens exposes the fake Jewish people, but she works for them. She claims to be Catholic now. She's involved in Catholic secret societies. And she really doesn't even tell the truth about the fake Jewish people anyway. A lot of these conservative agents, they blame them, but they don't really explain it. Because they don't really explain that they're not actually the Jewish people. And then people want to reject the God of the Bible because of that. Or then they want to really cling to Christianity and they want to reject the laws because they think the laws are Jewish. No, they're not Jewish. So to even get into this truth, you have to unlearn all the lies while learning the truth. It's a huge mess. There's a spider web of religious lies. This is the matrix, and we do have to get out of it, because if you die in the matrix, you die in real life. So you can't be plugged into these false religions. But there's no way these conservative Christian leaders are telling the truth, because they don't ever want to tell the truth about 9/11 or Mystery Babylon, or the fact that there really are no countries and there's not freedom like you think there is, because they all bow to Rome. They all work for the gods of Egypt. That's who runs the world. That's who was running the world hundreds of years ago and thousands of years ago. The gods of the Canaanites. The gods that Israel started worshiping when they forsook the real God, they served the god of the Canaanites and all the nations around them, all the pagan gods, the sun, the moon. Those are the same gods being worshipped by your leaders. So if you follow them, then who do you think you're going to end up worshiping at the end of the day? The gods of Egypt. That's why there's an obelisk in DC. That's why there's an obelisk in St. Peter's Square. There's a giant statue of fake white Jesus in Brazil. Absolutely massive statue. So who put that there? All you need to see is the obelisk in DC, and you know the American leaders are lying to you. So this phrase of faith, family, freedom, this concept, it's manipulation. You're being manipulated. Conservatives are being brainwashed. Conservative Christians are being brainwashed. Church-going Christians, you're being brainwashed. Freedom-fighting Americans are being brainwashed. Because they all work together. So, the truth is within you. That's what Christ said, Luke 17:21. It's within you. You have to seek that out for yourself. What you're seeing from the mainstream and alternative media is not the truth. You're seeing a lot of psychological operations going on. A lot of Hegelian dialectic operations going on. They'll give you a story that happens in the news, which it doesn't even happen. It's a created psychological story. It's a lie. The event itself is a lie, and then they give you the mainstream narrative, then they give you another mainstream narrative, and then they give you like 7 alternative narratives throughout the alternative media. But it's all a rabbit hole of deception, because even the event itself was a lie. It was created, all done by the numbers, because it's all coded. And even when something does happen and they do a news story on it, they still want to come up with all these different avenues to tell the story, and they twist it all. And you believe the conservative alternative thinking news anchor or podcaster because they have some alternative narrative. No. You got to critically think through that. What may help is to just ignore it altogether. Don't worry about it. Don't go seeking online on the social medias, on the TikTok, on the YouTube so much. But yes, the truth is within you. You must pray for the spirit of discernment. The Father will give those to his children, the spirit of discernment, to discern what's good and what's bad, what's a lie and what's truth. That's the thing, is the Spirit is going to help you see what's true and what's not. And it says in Hebrews, the end of Hebrews chapter 5, going into Hebrews chapter 6, like verses 1 through 3, talking about the milk and what the milk is, which is basically the basics of the truth, which is like keeping the commandments and baptism, the fact that there's a judgment, right? And those that are teachers, you need to be really grounded on the milk, and you need to be moved on before you are a teacher, because if you're a milk drinker, you shouldn't be teaching. Okay? But Paul says you have to have your senses exercised to discern both good and evil, to be in that position. And the people in those positions that are teaching, they're teaching evil and coming against the good. That's Isaiah 5:20. Woe to them that call evil good and good evil. That's even Proverbs 17:15. Those that condemn the just and justify the wicked. Both of those types of people are abominations to the Father. So you must ask for the Spirit to help you to discern what is righteous, what is unrighteous, so then you can actually practice real righteousness and not be a hypocrite. We cannot have the hypocrisy. We have to purge that out. Because that's what the world is. That's what the religions are. That's what the world leaders are. It's all hypocrisy. The true children are not going to be hypocrites. They're going to be serving the Father in sincerity and truth.